The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Anna Chen stepped forward, her boots echoing against the crystalline floor. Around her, representatives from 47 species watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed contempt. The humans had been part of the council for only 3 standard cycles, yet they had already become a source of endless debate. "The motion to restrict human expansion is denied," Anna said, her voice steady despite the fury building in her chest. "We have complied with every regulation, every quarantine protocol, every bureaucratic demand you've placed upon us." High Chancellor Vexthor, a towering Calrathian with iridescent scales, clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Complied? Your species breeds like plague organisms. Your ships push into territories marked for civilized expansion. You are Deathworlders, survivors of a planet so hostile that it should never have produced sentient life. Perhaps you should return to your mudball and leave the galaxy to those evolved for peaceful coexistence." Anna's jaw tightened. She had heard variations of this speech for months now. Earth's gravity was twice that of most council worlds. Its atmosphere was a corrosive mix that required most aliens to wear protective gear. Its fauna included creatures that could tear through military-grade armor. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity's home wasn't just dangerous, it was a cosmic aberration. "We seek only what was promised," Anna replied. "The right to settle, to trade, to exist as equals." "Equals?" Vexthor's laugh became a hissing shriek. "You can barely control your own violent impulses. Your history is written in blood. Every species that joins the Council must prove themselves worthy of membership through centuries of peaceful development. You've had barely 3 decades of unity." Anna opened her mouth to respond, but her communication implant buzzed with an urgent priority signal. She glanced at the data stream and her blood ran cold. The Calrathian fleet had moved. 12 dreadnoughts, 40 cruisers, and countless support vessels were accelerating toward the Sol system. They would arrive within 72 hours. "You dare," Anna began, but Vexthor raised a clawed hand. "The motion to restrict human expansion passes by Council majority. Furthermore, humanity is hereby placed under protective administration until such time as you demonstrate the capacity for peaceful integration. The fleet moving toward your system is merely an escort to ensure compliance." Anna's fingers curled into fists. Around the chamber, other council members avoided her gaze. They had voted for this. They had sanctioned an invasion and dressed it up in diplomatic language. "This is a declaration of war," Anna said quietly. "War?" Vexthor's eyes glittered with amusement. "Deathworlder, we have maintained galactic peace for 10,000 cycles. Your entire civilization is barely a footnote in our records. This is not war. This is correction." Commander Oliver Rodriguez received the transmission aboard the UNSC Prometheus with a grim sense of inevitability. He had spent 5 years in the Outer Reach Defense Fleet, and he'd always known this day would come. The galaxy's so-called civilized species had tolerated humanity, only as long as they seemed manageable. "All ships, this is Prometheus Actual," Oliver broadcast across the fleet network. "The Council has betrayed the peace accords. A Calrathian fleet is inbound to Sol. We are authorized to engage under Article 7 of the Defensive Charter." His tactical officer, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, looked up from her console. "Sir, the Calrathian dreadnoughts outmass us 3-1. Their shields are rated for Class 5 stellar radiation. Our railguns were designed to punch through asteroid ice at 0.5 C, Oliver finished. "I'm aware of the specifications, Lieutenant. What the Calrathians don't know is what happens when Deathworlders stop playing nice." The human fleet began its burn. 47 warships, corvettes and frigates built in orbital yards around Mars and Titan, accelerated to intercept velocities that would have liquefied most Council species. Humans could survive 12G burns with proper gel support systems. Their ships were built to tolerances designed for a gravity well that crushed visiting aliens. Oliver pulled up the tactical display. The Calrathian fleet maintained their stately approach, shields at minimum power, weapons cold. They expected humanity to surrender. "Deploy the packages," Oliver ordered. Across the fleet, cargo bays opened. Thousands of small drones, each no larger than a coffin, scattered into the void. They were old mining robots, hastily reprogrammed, packed with explosives and fitted with minimal propulsion systems. To sophisticated Calrathian sensors, they would register as debris, if they registered at all. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Ambassador Chen, the communications officer reported. Anna's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, the council chamber burned. Commander Rodriguez, the council chambers are under lockdown, but I've transmitted our diplomatic immunity codes to the fleet. Use them wisely. Show them what Deathworlders can do. Oliver nodded. With pleasure, Ambassador. High Chancellor Vex Thor watched the approach with satisfaction from his flagship's bridge. The human fleet was accelerating to meet them, a foolish display of bravado that would end in their swift defeat. His weapons officers reported optimal firing solutions. In moments, they would demonstrate the price of defying the Council. Human fleet has scattered debris in our approach vector, his sensor operator reported. Likely jettisoned cargo. Shall we adjust course? No, Vex Thor said dismissively. Maintain formation. Our shields will handle any debris. That was his first mistake. The mining drones activated simultaneously, their primitive fusion drives pushing them to ramming speed. They were too small, too fast, and too numerous for the Calrathian point defense systems to track effectively. Dozens slipped through. When the first drone detonated against a dreadnought's shield, it created a temporary gap, just enough for the railgun rounds that followed. Projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds didn't need sophisticated guidance systems. They just needed mass and velocity. The dreadnought's shield collapsed. Its hull, designed to withstand energy weapons and stellar radiation, crumpled like paper against kinetic impacts that delivered the force of tactical nuclear weapons. Evasive maneuvers, Vex Thor shrieked, but human tactics were already 3 moves ahead. Oliver's fleet didn't engage in traditional naval combat. They swarmed like wolves, their smaller ships making burns that would have killed any other species' crews. They fired from unexpected vectors, used the sun's gravity well for slingshot accelerations, and treated space combat like the knife fights humanity had perfected over millennia of warfare. Within 20 minutes, 6 Calrathian dreadnoughts were drifting wrecks. The rest of the fleet broke formation and began a panicked retreat. Anna stood in the council chamber, now surrounded by human security forces who had fought their way in through the diplomatic quarter. Around her, council members cowered or stood in shock. Let me be crystal clear, Anna said, her voice carrying through the chamber. Humanity didn't ask to be born on a death world. We didn't choose to evolve in an environment that forged us into survivors. But you made a critical error in judgment. She walked toward Vex Thor, who was being held by 2 human marines. You assumed that because we sought peace, we were weak. You forgot that we survived Earth. We climbed to the top of a food chain that would devour most of your species in minutes. We built civilization in the face of hurricanes, earthquakes, megafauna, and diseases that rewrote their own genetic code. Anna leaned in close. We are Deathworlders, and you just reminded us why that matters. She straightened and addressed the council. Humanity will accept a formal apology, reparations for this act of aggression, and full voting rights in the council. You will also remove all restrictions on human expansion. In exchange, we will continue to seek peace. And if we refuse? Someone whispered. Anna's smile was cold. Then you'll learn why predators evolved on Earth learned to fear humans. Peace ended the moment your fleet moved, Chancellor. Whether it returns is entirely up to you. In the silence that followed, the Council began to understand a fundamental truth. Humanity hadn't joined galactic civilization despite being Deathworlders. They had joined it because they were Deathworlders, and that made all the difference.